Welcome to 9 to 5 with Wangari. Did you know the employee-employer relationship is the second deepest relationship after family? So it's really important we have conversations around how we're making the workplace a better place. For those who don't know me, my name is Wangari. I am the host and content creator of 9 to 5 with Wangari. And if this is your first time, please subscribe to the channel, watch my other videos, and put a comment. And for returning viewers, thank you so much for your viewership. And I'm really excited about the topic we're discussing today. We are talking drugs and alcohol in the workplace. So I'm going to welcome my guest, who's David Ogot. I think if you just put in a quick Google search, you'll get like a lot of information around who he is and his experience. But he'll just give us a quick history about himself and also just tying into, alcoholism and what that means for him. So welcome, David.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea.
So tell us about yourself.
Okay, the alcohol bit, started drinking and smoking cigarettes at around the age of 13.
At 13?
At 13 years.
Wow,
in boarding school. And it was actually because I couldn't talk to girls.
Okay.
So I was misled.
You're misled.
That girls like tough guys.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, break the rules.
Yeah.
So essentially that's how I started.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I could control.
Okay.
If I said it's one beer, it's one. If I said it's none, it's none.
Yeah.
But at some point, with what I later learned was rising tolerance, I needed to drink more to feel the same initial effect. And basically, it affected my studies all the way to my A-levels. I did very poorly for my A-levels. My O-levels, I just made it through. And then I was packed off to India on the misconception that as a student, I would not access alcohol.
Okay.
Which was a wrong misconception. I found there was alcohol. So long and short, I went for a 3-year course. Ended up staying for 4 years, never stepped into a classroom, sold my passport, attempted suicide in my 3rd year, and then came back with nothing except clothes on my back, which were bought by the embassy, and then began a series of jobs. Which I lost in quick succession. And I was not getting the jobs because I was qualified. I was getting them because my parents were connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were in the job, was it because you were an alcoholic that you weren't staying in jobs? Was that the reason that you were losing jobs?
Yes, I lost 4 or 5 jobs in less than a year.
Wow.
After coming back. And all of them, the reason given was alcohol. Well, they didn't say alcohol. You know, you're away, you're reporting late, you leave early on weekends, things like that.
Okay.
But it was basically the alcohol. But nobody was saying the alcohol.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know who you are. So I know you've worked in media and you had a job in media for quite a long time. Let's talk about that. How was your experience with alcoholism in the workplace while you were in the media? Because you had that one for quite some time.
Yeah. That is actually the longest job I've held to date. What happened, the initial 4 or 5 jobs were through my dad.
Yeah.
And always when I was sacked, I would go with an excuse. They don't like me. There was a boss who was on my case and so on and so forth. The last one was they were tribalists. They don't like laws. And that one I actually resigned because I had been told my sacking letter is coming.
Okay.
So when I went for the next job, my dad told me, just calmly die your own death. So I went to my mom. My mom connected me with Kenya Times.
Yeah.
Now, in Kenya Times, media, that time you work, because you work on public holidays, weekends, etc. So you'd work for 10 days, we get 4 days off every 10 days. Now, at the end of the month when I was paid, at some point, it got to where the editor-in-chief said that, the late Philip Ocheng, may rest in peace, that I'm not to be put on the docket until I spend my salary, and then I'm usually back.
Okay.
And it usually takes 4 or 5 days for me to spend my salary, and then I'm back.
Oh, wow.
And then I work through the off days. So at the end of the day, they're actually getting more days out of me. But others would then complain. You know, you are doing a small mistake or misdemeanor, you're getting a warning letter. And then they're asking, but what about this guy who should have been sacked long ago? And then you even change where in the policy is it written that a guy is allowed to go and drink his salary first. Nobody knows where he is. and then he comes back. But then what I used to do, and then media for alcoholics or other drug addicts is really like Alibaba's cave.
Okay.
You go to press conference. It's in a hotel.
Yeah,
It's
there's
an
alcohol
open
being
bar,
served. Yeah.
and and I remember many of the hotels when I learned that they would actually be billed. Whoever was having the function would be billed after, so they would count what quantity has been consumed. So I became friends with the barman. I would come with empty bottles because they would hand in, let's say it's vodka, they would hand in X number of vodka bottles. So I would come in, they give me full ones, I give them a little bit of cash. I'm there with my cameras taking photos. Those days we were using film.
Yep.
You're seeing the flashlight, but there's no film. And then I would do stories, which I called my emergency stash. So you walk in, you're told, go see the deputy editor or the editor, so depending on the seriousness. So I would look at the seriousness and see which story to pick.
Okay.
Then literally burst into the office, say, I'm sorry, I was away without leave. Nobody could communicate with me, but I was undercover. This is the story I was doing. And I have the photos, I've written the story. And this is something like I wrote even 6 months ago. But finally...
That's very smart.
Yeah, but finally they did get rid of me after 2.5 years.
Okay, but 2.5 years
yes.
is pretty good. So just how did it affect your productivity at Kenya Times? It kind of sounds like you kind of found some loopholes in the system, but do you feel like it affected your productivity and opportunities for you to progress your career?
You see, with alcoholics, and let me just use alcohol to represent other drugs.
Yeah.
The boss wants to fire you.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yes.
And you will find alcoholics, we stay long beyond our sell-by date. Because when the boss now tells the HR to give you the letter on Monday, and God seems to love alcoholics.
God loves alcoholics.
That Monday, you're actually in at 6.
Okay.
And by 8, you have done like a week's work.
Okay.
So the HR guy is saying, no, boss, no, we need to look at this. So then the boss says, okay, Wangari is your friend. Wangari, come. Go with David after work, buy him a drink, and try and talk to him and find out what's bugging him.
Yeah.
Because working, he can work. So again, you survived the axe for another time, the umpteenth time. But when you're on duty, it was very rare to see a drunk journalist.
Okay.
Because this is what we call, you are at the stage you are functioning.
Yes.
Okay? And what used to happen, okay, I'm drinking in these funny joints, 24-hour joints, Latema Road, wherever. So maybe at around midnight you go home.
Yeah.
Sleep. Then you start going home at 2. Then you start going home at 4. Okay. And then you find it's 7 and you're still in the bar. So now you head directly
to work.
Wow. And then you try and get in at 6, see what's been said for you, or you call in.
Yeah.
I was delayed. There was some family emergency, and we have a cupboard full of excuses. So you are told you are supposed to be at place X. So you go there directly, and we are with breath mints and all manner of things to disguise the smell. And you have clothes in various laundries. So you've gone there, you are fresh looking, you haven't showered, etc. So somehow we would survive. And then when you are actually not able and you don't actually go.
Yeah.
So we will call. And we had doctors, government certified doctors, because some companies would say, and Kenya Times was one, it must be a government doctor who's writing you a letter.
Okay.
And we had doctors who you just walk in and you're asking, okay, I need a letter, no problem, because you're paying.
Yeah.
And then you're asking, what did we put last time? I had malaria, so we can't do malaria. I think we've done too many malaria, so, and it's that kind of thing. So you actually, you come in with the letter later.
Yeah.
So you just call in, I'm sick. They'll tell you, okay, when you are better, come in, make sure you come with a doctor's letter. So there were various ways of working the system.
Working around, yeah.
But then it gets to a point where you actually cannot function.
Okay. What does not functioning look like to someone who's an alcoholic in the workplace?
You don't report.
You don't report
for duty because you can't.
Yeah.
And this I'm seeing to date. Even of late, I think this year there's a well-known journalist who lost his job because on radio because he was having some other domestic issues, and then you get scared to go. So you say, okay, first you're in withdrawal.
You're withdrawn, yeah. So
you have to have a drink, and then you say, okay, let me have a drink to deal with my withdrawals while I think how I'm going to get out of this one.
Yes.
And then, of course, as you drink, then you say, okay, now I've got the idea, I'll go tomorrow, because right now I'm smelling of alcohol, etc. And of course, you're having too much fun, friends have come in. And this is in the morning, on a weekday. And then the next day you think, no, that excuse won't work. And then before you, and you are incommunicado. You literally switch off phones. Alcoholics, we are found when we want to be found. When we don't want to be found, you won't find us. Phones are off, etc. So a week has passed, 2 weeks. By now, remember I said the bosses bend over backwards. But then by this time, you've been away 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's too long. And the guy got dismissed. And a lot of us, that's how we actually got dismissed. And it still happens because you're scared.
You're scared, yeah.
You see, and an addict is actually two people.
Yes.
And in the workplace, for example, whenever we've had workshops, so we ask, do you have alcoholics here? And they say, yes, describe them. Oh, it's bad, he borrows money, he doesn't pay back, we have to cover for them so that they don't get sacked. So we are literally doing like two people's work, but only getting one person's salary. We've tried to talk to them, they don't listen, even as we drink, why can't they? So they get really animated and annoyed.
Yes.
And we're writing all this on the flip chart.
Yeah.
Then we give them a breather and then ask, describe the same person when they're sober.
Yeah.
They say, oh, it's the best person, they work very hard, they do this. And then they start laughing. Yeah. Because they realize they've just been describing a devil, and now the same person they're describing as an angel. So then we ask, so is the problem then the person or the alcohol? Yeah. Because by then we've also asked, so what do you suggest we do with them? So they sack them, transfer them, and all this. See? So it's literally two people.
Okay.
For example, in my case right now, you're talking to David A.
Yeah.
Give me even a teaspoon of alcohol, and you'll meet David B. And David B is a very nasty guy. Yes. Essentially, the alcohol is in control.
Okay. Okay. So do you have any advice to both, like, the employers and the employees around, like, alcoholism and drugs, and whether it's like in policies, and also I know you do a lot of work with like NACADA and stuff. Is there any advice, if they can reach out to you if they need any help around that topic?
We always say employer assistance programs, as they're called, have been around for decades. For decades, literally over 100 years. And we say, the issue of drug abuse is so stigmatized. You do not put in a program saying it's a drug abuse program.
Okay.
Call it a wellness program.
Yeah.
But what you are looking at is, because this is a business at the end of the day, they're there to make profit. So you look at it from a business point of view. How productive is your alcoholic? And usually, as you said, they are very productive, high-flying, very intelligent fellows, current company included. So you've hired this fellow, they are working, the productivity starts going down.
Yeah.
Not because the person doesn't know their work, because that's why you hired them, but the alcohol has taken over.
Yes.
Then you fire them. Okay? This fellow has experience. Experience is not taught in a college. So when guys come with papers, most times they don't have experience. So you're firing a guy with experience. Then you are hiring again, which is advertising. It costs money to hire, interview, etc. And then 10% to 15%, depending on which study you look at, is going to be an alcoholic. And there's no sign on the forehead.
Yeah.
So you're going to hire and keep going through this process. Meanwhile, you are losing productivity even the time they're there, especially towards weekends and etc. So if you look at it as a productivity problem,
Yep.
it has been, and that equals then profit, it has been found, and productivity, again, there's accidents on site and so on, low quality staff, etc.
Mistakes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When you set a program, whether you have 5 staff, 50, or 5,000.
Yes.
You set in an EAP, you recover that money within a year.
Okay.
And from there, it is pure profit. Otherwise, you're running with constant losses. And 10 to 15% of the new people you're going to employ are addicts.
Yeah.
2, when you look at it from a social point of view, maybe this is the only breadwinner.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, for the family. You transfer this fellow to another branch. Let's say an alcoholic will find alcohol in a desert or find a means to make it from cactus.
Okay.
So the first thing is to define. What is, for example, what is alcoholism? Okay?
Yeah.
Because when we are going to deal with a problem, you must first define that problem.
Yes.
And if you define it wrong, then obviously the solution. And in this business, if I can call it a business, there's too much emotions around alcoholism or other drug addiction. And then again, if you ask 10 people, what is alcoholism? And by people, I mean professionals, including, let's throw in a couple of just regular folks off the street, another 10, so 20, you'll get 20 different answers.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? Now, depending on one's training, depending on one's point of view, and this is why, and those that is where the definitions come from. This is why I concluded drug addiction definition is like religion.
Okay.
If you ask for what is the correct religion,
you'll have very many different
Christianity, is it what? And even if it's Christianity, is it Catholic, SDA,
Islam,
DC, and so on? And even those have offshoots and what? So you can't pick one and say this is the de facto religion for everybody. Now, with addiction, I usually say I am lucky.
Yes.
In trying to get sober, my parents walked me through everything.
Yeah.
Including witch doctors was the final last-ditch effort, which didn't work, and then I was handed back to God.
Okay.
And when I finally got sober in a very simple 200 shilling full board place, and I learned my problem in 14 days, it was people who came from the point of view, it is a disease.
It's a disease.
This is for alcoholism. And alcohol does not cause alcoholism. Because if it did, logically, everybody who drank would be alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it is, from the disease point, it is your genes.
Yeah.
You process alcohol differently.
Yes.
You then need to start drinking, continue drinking long enough to trigger the disease you were born with.
Okay.
And once you trigger that disease, like a bullet, you pull the trigger, the bullet can't go back. Once you cross, and I usually say you are deported into the country of uncontrolled drinking.
Yeah.
Which simply means, and you see again definitions. People used to say, Dave, you have a drinking problem. That's a wrong definition. I don't have a drinking problem.
You have an addiction.
I can drink you under the table.
Yeah.
I have a stopping problem when I start drinking. So right now, for example, my dad used to get pissed off. He sees me on interviews like this. What's my title put there? I prefer recovering alcoholic. He used to say, but you're a director of this, you're doing this. No, I say I am an alcoholic, and I'm no different from the fellow in the Chang'an den now as you're watching this, except I'm allowed to put the word recovering before my alcoholism, as opposed to the other guy who's wet. Now, that very simple definition, loss of control does not mean if I see alcohol, I start shaking, I need a drink. No, it means once I take a drink, That drink is in charge. That is David B.
Okay.
So can I drink? Yes. Can I drink safely? Never again in my life. So the solution is to stay stopped one day at a time.
Yes.
So when you are putting in a program, you must first define
what it is.
What it is. Which direction are you coming from? Some people say it's an underlying, you have some underlying psychological problem, childhood trauma, something. Maybe my mother used to lock me in a dark cupboard or whatever. You see? Others say, Okoka, get saved.
Yeah.
And you whatever. So they come at it from a religious point of view. Others say, no, there's no such thing as I drink. Why can't you drink like me?
Yeah. So it's just very important to put in a very clear definition around what it is, and then from there you will.
Well, which definition? There are actually as many definitions as there are types of alcohol.
Yeah.
So my take on this one is, if you're going that it's a disease,
okay,
you're good to go. Any other thing, it is not going to work.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. That's very clear. So and you have the abilities to put in this program and work with employers and employees.
Yes.
To,
you usually say get the employees involved.
Yes.
Because it's about them.
It's about them.
So first you set up a policy.
Yeah. With
the employees. They come up with it. You're actually guiding them through. We know what we need, but you're guiding them through. They come up with a policy which then says you need an employee assistance program.
Yeah.
And then, for example, look at government buildings. Government woke up just one day and put signs. This is a no smoking zone.
Yeah.
Who came first, the smokers or the signs? The smokers were there.
And then they put in the policy. Yeah.
Now, smokers, I usually give example. Near your house, they'll come downstairs. There's a smoking place down there. The lifts are slow. They're complaining. They reach there. They find other smokers. Why are you harassing us? It's my money. It's my chest, my lungs, my choice, and so on. So you find if a guy is smoking 5 cigarettes, how much time is being lost?
Yeah.
This guy going downstairs, etc. Why isn't it easier and cheaper if you had a policy which would say you have a segregated room
zone
for smoking, and the policy is there to help them quit smoking, as you're also helping the other one. And then again, you then have to have a definition. Is tobacco a drug?
Yeah.
Because you hear people saying, including Nakada you just talked about, campaign against alcohol and drugs, as if those are two different things, instead of, as I've tried to get them to say, alcohol and other.
And other.
So people always say, no, I smoke, I drink alcohol, but I don't take drugs. Yeah. Even I used to think drugs are narcotics. The heroines and so on. So you have your smokers there. And it starts even just with the smokers.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't you have a program for them? The
Thank
alcoholics, etc. Yes.
That's very clear in terms of what it is, how it can affect productivity in the workplace, what the employers need to do around putting employee assistance program and really clear policies. And also just from... Because I think one family or workplace has suffered because of alcoholism. What's your message to them? Like, is it to come from a point of empathy and just help them? Because you said your family really helped to get you out of it from a variety of ways. How would you suggest their support system, whether it's work or at home, and help these alcoholics or people who are addicted to some form of drug get out of it?
The two best people, and as you said in your intro, we spend a lot of time. Actually, we spend more time in the workplace than actually with our families or at home.
Yeah.
So the family, and here I mean the workplace or your actual family, are the best support for an addict to get sober. But how do you support what you don't know you're dealing with? So you have, again, back to my definition, you have a wrong definition. So you actually, addiction is an upside down disease, starting with the person who has it saying, that's not my problem, I'm drinking because. And there's always a because, and that because can even change hourly. So you get the correct definition so that you learn how to help in the correct manner. Not like, my dad getting me another job because I'm blaming. You're actually enabling, you are facilitating my continued drug use. But once you learn, so first, you see, like when people call, I have an addict, how do I help them? So I say, I need to see you first. They say, no, I'm not the one with the problem. Just tell us when we can bring them. And I say, no, my addiction affects you.
Yes.
So in Kenya, literally everybody is either addicted or affected. So we're all in the same boat. So you have to step back, look for somebody who's coming from a disease point. Learn what you are dealing with so that you learn how to support in the correct way. So I tell people, if you come, you say, I have a problem with my son. I tell you, what's the problem? He was sacked. So I tell you, call this number. On Monday, he goes, gets another job. On Friday, you are back. I have a problem with my son. He was sacked. I'll give you another card. You get another job. You come back. You need to say, I have a problem. What's the problem? Not he's lost a job. He's alcoholic.
Yeah.
Then we are now saying, now for an alcoholic, we start with you. This is what you are dealing with. There's also a program for you, which will run concurrently with them because their drinking has affected you.
Yeah.
Now, whether this alcoholic will then start their program or not, you have to start yours. And the first thing you are doing is detach. Detach means you step back. Detach means I love you, but I love you from a safe distance.
Okay. An
alcoholic is like a bomb, a ticking bomb, except you're not seeing, a bomb, you see it ticking backwards. So you know it's how long it's left. But this one, you're just seeing it, hearing it ticking.
Okay.
But you don't know when it will explode. You are all gathered around, in other words, enabling, bailing me out of all kinds of problems. When this bomb explodes, it's going to go with all of you. You're there busy, cut the yellow one, no, cut the red one, cut the green one, no. Then it explodes. Step back to a safe distance. If, again, Nyayo House, you are called, your son has stepped out on a ledge on 21st floor, they want to jump. Detaching is this. You have two choices as the mother. You arrive, you can climb out on the ledge with your son to plead with them. Don't jump. Or you can stick your head out only so that in case they decide to jump, they don't go with you. That's detachment. You love, it's your son, but you're not climbing out onto a ledge with him. He might decide to jump, step out, change his mind, reach out for the nearest object to pull back, which is you. As he's pulling back, you're going down. You die, he's alive, and he's still drinking.
Okay, that's quite graphic, I must say, but I think it does help connect with how like alcoholism can grapple and affect like everybody who's like involved. So
because we manipulate.
Yeah. Okay.
If you don't do this, I'll kill myself. I'll do this. If you don't, in fact, we say alcoholics don't have relationships. We take hostages.
Okay, interesting. All right, cool. So this is definitely a topic, and I know it affects, as you said, in the workplace, in the home. It's been really great speaking with you. I don't know if there's any like parting shots that you want to share with my viewers, whether it's from an alcoholic's perspective or from the person who's been affected by it. Because I'm pretty sure with the viewers watching, a few of them might be struggling with this.
Basically, the alcoholic is your person. Nobody is going to help you. It's you. Forget about the stigma. Forget about what the neighbors will think, because this is the other problem why guys don't get help. Everybody's hiding.
Yeah.
And that's why even when my parents were being told now to try a witch doctor, since it's being done, closed doors, whispered, nobody's there to tell them that's rubbish. This is your person. If they die, those neighbors you're worried about, when this person gets sober, okay, you will get so many invitations for tea. It's not tea. They want to ask you, where did you take your husband, your son, whoever? We have the same problem here. And these are the guys you are hiding from. And you are hiding, and everybody knows.
Yeah.
You can't hide an addict. The whole neighborhood, the whole community, literally, maybe the whole city knows. You see? And when they die, everybody will ask you. Because it's a progressive disease, invariably, they will die. So forget the stigma. Today I'm being called sir. Initially I used to do talks. I'm called sir. I'm looking behind me because, for years I'm told you're stupid, you're useless. Look at your brothers, look at your parents, look at and so on and so forth. Look at your peers you were in school with, for years. And then suddenly, to me, it's like you've lost an ID. This thing, everybody has an identity card. It's written identity card. When you lose your identity card, do you lose your identity? You are still you.
Yeah.
But without your identity card, you want to withdraw M-Pesa, you want to enter a building like when I was entering here where's your ID if I don't have it? So life becomes a little bit tricky. So I tell alcoholics, I tell addicts, I tell especially their families. It is the family. This thing of people saying that the addict has to be ready is the biggest misconception ever. An addict cannot be ready because an addict does not have a problem. In my mind, you're the problem. So it is the family who has to learn what they're dealing with, how to approach this addict, how to break through the denial and get them into that help.
Yeah.
So bottom line, the addict will not, come around and wake up and say, it's a bright, sunny day. I think I need to go into rehab. So that is a huge misconception.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So that was David Ogot talking about drugs and alcohol in the workplace. Very sensitive and emotional topic because it does affect, and as he said, it can take hold of yourself and your family and just change everything about it. He has an institution where he talks about and helps people get through this. So please reach out to him. And please share, add a comment, and subscribe. And thanks for listening. Ciao.